Hey folks, Country Prepper here. I'm here with my friend Willie, aka Steve Brahms. That's the name of his channel. Make sure you check out his channel. Link will be in the description box below. What I wanted to do was try something a little different. Start maybe a little series of talking with fellow preppers, friends of mine, and go over some different topics. Today we're going to talk about shit hit the fan gardening. Different things that you can try, things that you can kind of prep ahead of time, get things ready so that when something does happen, then you're ready to go. You don't have to stress so much about getting food, and maybe having seed banks or perennials planted or whatever. So we're gonna kind of go over some of that stuff in this video. So the reason I have Willie here with me today for this video is him and his family have an orchard, and they have a huge garden. What did you say it was, about 8 acres?
8-ish acres, maybe a little more this year.
So they grow a ton of food and go to the farmers markets and stuff like that and sell their produce. And so he has a lot of really great knowledge about growing vegetables and
large quantities of vegetables.
Yeah, and being able to work with the soil and different little tips. I've learned probably half of what I know about gardening from him, just from the advice he's given me. So this is a perfect person to have for this video. First thing I want to talk about is, say you're in a situation where there's food shortages for whatever reason, and people are, stealing food out of other people's gardens, the people that aren't prepared for the situation, and they ran out of food too. So underground vegetables, I think, would be a good place to start if there was a lot of thievery going on. So, like, some of the good types of root vegetables, stuff that grows a lot, has a lot of caloric value.
Potatoes.
That's really good for calories.
But the only problem I have with them right now, with your criteria, they get a really tall top if you have lots of bottoms. Right,
and if somebody came along and killed the top off, then
you don't get any
the plant isn't any good anyway.
The good thing with potatoes is you save potatoes, you have potatoes for next year for seed.
So yeah,
it's easy to do. Everybody that goes to the store and ever gets a bag of potatoes and has some eyes sticking out, that's a seed potato.
Right.
Period.
So yeah, and anytime we have, if we do get store-bought potatoes, if we run out of what we grew the year before, then yeah, and we don't use them up that often because I don't eat very many potatoes with the diet I'm on. But yeah, we'll get eyes on our potatoes, and then we'll put them in a box. And
the only thing is sometimes you can have disease issues with store-bought potatoes, and using them would be an issue, but odds are it's kind of a minute point, but it could be a problem. That's why people buy certified seed potatoes for that reason.
Okay, that makes sense.
Disease, they're tested for the diseases.
Yeah, and then like radishes grow really fast?
Radishes grow really fast. That would be your fastest thing to grow. Radishes, they're usually where 30 to 60 days, 28 to 60 days, you'll have a radish from when you seed it.
Right.
Carrots are good. They'd have a smaller top that most people don't know what they look like anyway, because when you buy them in the store, they don't have the tops on them.
Yeah, well,
so they wouldn't know what it is.
And speaking of the tops, people that don't garden won't even know what a potato plant or a carrot, or what the tops would look like. They just know something's growing there. So chances are they're not going to know what they're even after or what they're going to get.
Beets are good. They're really high nutrition. Most of the odd colored stuff is actually healthier for you. Beets are better than some of the others. You can get different colored carrots. I know the purple carrots and purple potatoes had more nutrition than the regular.
Really?
Carrots used to be purple, but in the 18th, whatever century, long time ago, purple was poisonous. So they bred them to be orange. So GMO.
People would.
No, not really, but
well, they were.
They bred them for the color.
Right.
And now you can actually get in seed catalogs, you can buy a rainbow blend.
Yeah, I've seen those, yeah.
They taste the same.
Yeah. And
I can't tell a difference in the purple and the orange. We've grown them both.
Yeah. And the main reason that I even recommend root vegetables is because
they're easy to grow. Well,
they're easy to grow, and also if somebody is going to try to steal your food, it's going to take them a lot more work to get them. So chances are they're not going to go for the root vegetables. At least you'd have something. if somebody came by and, like, you know, they're going to steal your tomatoes because
they know what they are.
They know what they are. They're bright red. You know, they catch people's eye. You know, they're going to see them right off the bat. But root vegetables, they're a little more inconspicuous. Yeah.
Well, they don't know what they are and they don't know how to do with it. Our biggest thing, we go to a farmer's market, we grow more or less all the normal vegetables. We get asked all the time, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
Wash it and eat it?
Like kohlrabi?
Kohlrabi. We grow a ton of kohlrabi. Either you really like it or you don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a cross between a cabbage and a turnip. It's funky green, weird leaves. I'll have some on my videos this summer if you guys want to look. But
yeah, definitely go over to his channel. You'll learn a lot. And then a good segue into from root vegetables to perennials is one thing that I've talked to you about is Jerusalem artichokes.
I know very little, but I'm finding more information out because it intrigues me. And
it's really interesting type of food. They're very invasive. They will spread like wildfire if you let them. So most people keep them in a raised bed. That way they can't spread out. But if you were in, you know, if it was full-blown apocalypse land, you just let them go, you know, let them spread, and that's easy food.
If you miss a couple, it's not a big deal because you'll have them for next year.
Right, and they can be stored underground. That's one thing I learned about them.
Potatoes, carrots, all that stuff typically can be too.
Yeah, you can just leave it there, but yeah.
As long as it doesn't freeze too bad.
Right, which, I mean, even Jerusalem artichokes, I've seen them in, I saw some videos, a lady was in Ohio, and so obviously it freezes just as hard there as it does here in Iowa. So, and they were okay. She's never had a crop failure on those, but it could happen, you know, if it was sub-zero for a really long period of time, it could kill them out. But, you know, you could still do just like you would with potatoes, I would think, is just store them in a cool, dry place, keep them dry, you know, like in your basement or a root cellar if you have one, something like that. And so basically that's a perennial because it regrows itself every year without being planted. For those who don't know anything about gardening or anything like that, that's a perennial. Something that...
Asparagus.
That's another good one too.
Because it comes back and you can find it wild in the ditches. Drive around the countryside. In the fall, you'll see the really tall plants in a fence row. It's a volunteer asparagus patch. It's good to know where they are because it's an easy way to find some calories.
Yeah. And then some of the other ones, like all the old ladies when I was a kid had rhubarb, had a patch of rhubarb.
We sell a ton of rhubarb, and it is seriously the easiest crop to put in.
Is it?
You plant the root, you don't do anything to it except fertilize it and keep the weeds away from it a little bit. The leaves are huge, they shade the weeds out, you walk away from it.
Huh, pretty easy to
As long as it isn't been super dry, you can pretty well pick it. The leaves are poisonous. I will say that out loud, and I will say it again. Do not eat rhubarb leaves. They are toxic. You will not like it.
Gonna have a bad day if you try to eat that.
Cut the top off. Pull them. Don't cut them. Just grab them at the bottom and pull them off. They'll pull off in chunks. It kind of looks like great big celery. It is bitter, but it's good. It makes really good rhubarb. Crisp.
Well, we had our neighbor, one of our neighbors, old lady. She always made pies and all kinds of different desserts.
Rhubarb strawberry pie.
Desserts with rhubarb.
Huge.
Yeah.
I'm talking to lots of people because I talk to lots of people because when you go to 7 farmers markets a week, you talk to lots of people.
Yeah.
One of the favorites of people, which I've never tried, which I'm intrigued to, but I'd rather sell it than eat it. They take the rhubarb and dip it in the sugar bowl.
Yeah.
It can't be all bad.
I've seen people do that. Of course, my dad will take a bite out of an onion like it's an apple, and I can't handle that either. But
I've seen it done. Depends on the onion.
Yeah. Like, I know tons of people, and I don't particularly like it, but my wife will take a tomato, salt it, and just take a bite out of it like an apple. I know a lot of people that do that.
We eat a lot of
That's
tomatoes.
just not me. But I like to I even slice up my apples, but that's just the way I like to eat them. But anyway, so other perennial foods. We were planning on planting some raspberry bushes this year. Strawberries are perennials. lots of fruits, lots of berries, grapes.
All the berries, the grapes.
Yeah, that's all perennial stuff that you could plant now, and it'll keep regrowing
For years.
for years, and you will have food, at least something that's already growing. You don't have to do the work to plant it after some type of event happens. So that's why I'm really interested in perennial foods, because chances are you'll have food that's already ready, unless it's in the during the winter time, but then you should have stuff canned ahead of time. Yeah, have it stored. So it's just less work to get food, pretty easy way. Basically just gotta trim them back, like the bushes and stuff.
Keep the weeds down as best as part. Mulch them really good.
And other than that, basically they take care of themselves. Maybe fertilize them a little bit.
A little bit.
But
you don't have to, but to get the better crop, fertilizer's always nice.
Yeah. And that was actually something else I wanted to talk about with you. You do a lot of hydroponics with your tomatoes.
We have a small greenhouse. It's 30 foot by 96 feet. It's small. We put 630 tomatoes in there, and we have absolutely zero dirt in there. We actually grow it in perlite, and then we have a dripper that drips the water into the bucket, and it has a nutrient-rich fertilizers put in there for our water sample. So our recipe won't necessarily work anywhere else because it's made for our water.
Right, but like for, say, an apartment prepper, could they set up a hydroponic system on a small scale, obviously, yes, in an apartment? It's doable.
You could set it up anywhere. I hate to say this on here because it is YouTube. Most marijuana grown right now is grown in big greenhouses in like Colorado, hydroponically. That's where a lot of people know where it is. Tomatoes are huge grown in there. Right now, hydroponics, they typically, they do a lot of lettuces too in hydroponic greenhouses, but they tend to do the more valuable crops that way because greenhouses are not cheap. They're expensive to keep heated and keep them going. The good thing with the tomato crop is you can grow it for 18 months.
Yeah.
You don't do that outside here.
So you got a long-term...
You can grow it for a long time, and it's climate controlled more or less. You're growing everything inside a bubble, more or less. But the only problem with that is it's a lot of work, and it's expensive to get it started.
Right.
You get it started, it's not bad to keep going. It's just the startup.
Yeah.
And then it's good year after year, so you can expend your cost out over a longer period, but it's still...
Yeah.
It is expensive. It's not hard to do, but it's a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. But if a person, like I was saying, in an apartment, if they had a small setup, since they can't grow any vegetables anywhere else, they might have a balcony where they could set up a few pots, but that would be a better option for, a lot of apartment people that, you could still grow some of your own food. So you'd have, something around. The initial cost, yeah, it might be expensive to get set up, but how much is your life worth? You have to think about that too. So would you rather starve, or would you rather spend the money on,
And have it set up ahead of time so you learn all of the weirdness with it ahead of time.
Right.
That way you can get all your kinks worked out, because if you're depending on it for a food source and you're just now starting it, which is kind of gardening in general, start now. Start a small scale so you kind of got an idea what you're doing. If something happens, you're kind of got an idea what you're doing. So you are going to have crop failures. It happens. Yeah. It's not a big deal now because you can still go to the grocery store. But if it's something major happened and there's nothing available,
yeah, you definitely
not a great time to start learning.
Definitely got to figure it out ahead of time. Don't wait. Don't go and buy one of those seed vaults. In fact, I have one. We have one.
I'll grab
here.
one as he said it.
Willie brought one with him to show, and we were talking about a person should get something like this and see how it does. Figure out, because these are heirloom seeds, so they're going to be a little different than hybrid seeds. They're going to grow different, going to need different care. Mm-hmm. And so it's a good idea to actually get one of these and actually plant it and see how it does, see what happens. And then, you'll have a better idea. You get another one and go from there. You'll have a better idea of what to do with it instead of waiting until it's too late and then, I didn't do it right, crop failure, I'm going to starve to death. So good idea to go ahead and, even though it's kind of expensive, it's just a good idea to go ahead and know what you're doing with it.
And the good thing with these are they are canned, they are sealed. I mean, both ends are sealed. You have to open it so it's not getting any cross-contamination or moisture and ruining seeds. It is keeping it dry.
And that's another thing we were talking about is some of these seeds, some of these plants that are going to be growing out of here, they will cross-pollinate if you're not careful.
You can cross-pollinate. Heirloom seeds are great as long as nobody else close has anything else, because I know pumpkins and watermelons and all that stuff will cross-pollinate.
Yep, we had that happen before.
You grow them close together. That's why I do not save any of my seeds, because I need to know what's going to come up. I am not opposed of hybrid seeds. I'm actually not opposed of GMOs, because it's just a faster way of breeding it. They actually aren't doing what most people say they are.
It's a lot of media scare.
It's a lot of scare tactics.
Yeah.
I have no problem with GMOs because I grow up in Iowa where we do. I know a little bit about GMOs because we grow a lot of corn.
Yeah.
It isn't what they're not taking DNA out of other animals and adding it to the plant. They're actually they could do this breeding, but instead of taking 10, 15 years to breed it, they can do it in a lab in like 3.
Huh.
That's why they're doing it. They're just breeding it, because you can breed for whatever you want. You can breed for chemical resistance in the field.
And this is something that people have been doing for hundreds of years too. Like our bananas.
We don't grow maize.
Our bananas don't look anything like they did 100 years ago or 200 years ago or whatever. You know, there are a lot of look up. You know, like I don't know, 17th century whatever banana, and you'll see what I mean. The bananas look more like can't even think of it. What's that fruit that has all them seeds in it that just kind of looks gross?
Like a kiwi?
No, that's not
Mango?
what I'm thinking of. But anyway, God, I can't think.
I grew up in Iowa. We eat normal stuff like that.
Yeah. So going off of like the hydroponics stuff, I also wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, foods that you can grow inside your house. You guys, you said something to me. It's been a while, but you talked about a dwarf tree, like a fruit tree that you could grow inside a house in a pot.
We have Mom has orange.
Yeah,
tree.
like a little citrus.
Yeah, it's I don't know, 6, 8. Wow, it's not 6 foot tall. It's about 5 foot tall. It's orange. Grows oranges. You don't get very many, but. I do know some of the research at like Iowa State, they have peach trees and nectarines inside of a high tunnel. Well, if you don't know what a high tunnel is, it's the big arch with the plastic on it, but it doesn't have any heat or anything on it in it. By doing that, it's like growing 100 miles south. Peach trees are really hard to grow in Iowa because they tend to freeze out within 8 years or something. You'll end up replacing them.
I'll say our peach tree is not doing worth a damn at all.
They freeze out. They don't. Yeah. Well, we're almost too far north to grow good peaches. You can get good years, and then you'll have several bad years. Huh. Don't count on them where we are. Yeah. But they're growing them inside, trying to get it so it's more reliable and get a peach crop, because we get late frost can kill apple trees and blossoms, so you don't get a crop. Well, peaches are worse.
They're even more picky.
They are more picky at the temperatures at where they no longer will make a fruit that year. So that's why they're trying to put them in a high tunnel. It takes a big high tunnel, but they only get 6, 8 foot tall, so anything taller than that is easy. I know they've grown some brambles in them, which is the blackberries, raspberries, and have done quite well. They actually had to take them out and redo them because they got so big they could not walk between them. And anybody that's been in a raspberry patch knows exactly what the problem was. It was put your coveralls on to pick them in summer. Just because they're very pokey.
You were gonna get
you were gonna get stabbed.
Yeah.
Several times.
We've gone out south of the lake over yonder way, there are a bunch of wild raspberries over there, and they're delicious. But yeah, sometimes you gotta try to get in between them, and you're gonna come out scratched up.
You wear pants, long sleeves usually, sometimes gloves.
I usually try to wear one of my like canvas type work shirts because it's not gonna poke you quite as easy. But yeah,
and then it's hot.
Yeah, but like with that small little dwarf tree, that's another thing that apartment preppers or people that live in a small town and you can't put, or even in the big city, sometimes you're not allowed to have
stuff outside.
Plant. Yeah, you're not allowed to plant fruit trees in your yard in certain areas of the country, which is stupid, but
like
it happens.
Grow stupid grass.
Yeah, they want you to grow grass that does nobody any good, but they don't want you to grow any vegetables that would benefit your health. Or fruit trees or whatever. So that was just one of those things that I wanted to touch base on because I know not everybody has a yard, not everybody can grow food, outside of their home, and so there are options, to grow stuff indoors, hydroponics, potted plants. There are a lot of different tomato varieties that you can grow in a pot in the house. There are even, I've grown green beans inside of a house. That was something I did when I was a kid just because I was interested in it. I saw, mom and dad out gardening, and I loved green beans, so I grew green beans in a pot. And so they didn't do that great, but, I did get a few off of them.
I could teach you how to do a better job now.
Okay, good to know. So just something to think about, something to look into if you're in that kind of situation. And a good segue into the next topic is fruit trees. Willie and they have a ton of apple trees.
1,000-ish.
Yeah.
1,200. Somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200. I've never actually counted. That's just what we were told. We're probably 1,100-ish trees. Some of them are the old standards, which there's a standard, a semi-dwarf, and dwarf apples. A standard is about 30-ish foot tall, big base, like 3 foot across base. The problem with them is it takes 7 years from when you plant it till you get your first apple. Plus they get big, you can't get to the top to pick them.
Right.
It's a lot of wasted space. Plus then you need to space them farther out so it takes up more room. Most orchards around are a lot of semi-dwarfs. They get the 12, 15 foot tall. They're smaller. You can put more of them closer together. They're easier to manage because 12 foot's a lot easier to get to than 30 foot. And then there's the dwarf trees. Most of them are trellis. That is what most of the... Oh, I forgot to say, a semi-dwarf is somewhere in about the 5-ish years till you get your first apple. And then the dwarfs, they're 3 years, but they're only like 8 foot tall, maybe 10 foot. But most of them are trellised, which they have the wires holding them up like the grapes. They actually do that with apples also.
Huh.
8 foot's way easier to get somebody to get it to pick, because if I'm standing on the ground, 2 more foot, that's 8 foot. I can pretty well touch the top of it. No ladder needed.
So that would be the best option for somebody that actually just wants to plant something out in their yard they can get some food off of.
But you have to remember, it has to be staked. It will blow over in the wind, but you're getting fruit in 3 years.
Right.
2-3 years.
So that's probably a good option for preppers, but
and also,
like ours are semi-dwarf, and so they'll get...
You're 5 years out.
Right.
So if you plant it now, do not have an SHTF problem for 5 years, because you will not get fruit off of it.
So then you might want to diversify and do one of each if you have the room, have the space for it.
2 of each.
2 of each. Oh yeah, they gotta be able to pollinate each other, right.
And there is some of them that have sterile pollen, like a Red Delicious has sterile pollen, so it will not cross to anything. Red Delicious, Iowa apple.
Yeah.
Not too far from here is where it was found in an orchard.
Well, and then like another thing that I wanted to talk about, we'll talk about in a little bit, but was like flood resistant, oversaturation resistant. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But there are several different varieties of
that do better in certain conditions.
Right. So you need to pay attention to your region and follow that for if you buy fruit trees.
Certain apples grow better in certain areas.
Right.
Honeycrisp. So everybody knows Honeycrisp from the store. It's a really good, expensive apple because it does not grow well below Interstate 80 in Iowa. It starts getting leaf issues. it was developed by University of Minnesota. It wasn't an issue. But now that they're putting it in more places, it doesn't grow well. Granny Smith needs a longer season, so you're looking at more of a Missouri top apple. You cannot get it up here because they don't grow well because you don't have a long enough season. You have to play some of that also with variety choices. There's somewhere in like something stupid like 4,000 to 7,000 different varieties of apples in the world. Like 4,000 of them grow in Iowa. Some of them I would never purchase ever because they are not very good, but they make really good hard cider. You know,
depends on what you're going to use them for, too.
And then, because some of them are good fresh-eating apples, some of them store better than others, some of them are good for applesauce, some of them bake. Some of them do multiple of them. It's kind of
So what would be a good variety here in Iowa for just kind of a good general purpose apple? Something something you could use for just about anything.
Jonathan apple. Jonathans are really good. They usually early September apple, so it's not super late, but it's great for pies because that's what we make all of our pies with unless we run out. It's good for applesauce. You can make cider with it. It's good eating fresh, you know, and that's it. Everybody asks me what my favorite apple is. I go, well, what do you like? You know, it's hard for me to tell you what apple to choose.
Yeah.
Everybody's got different
Everybody's
tastes.
going to have different taste, yeah.
You know, some like really sweet, some like really tart.
Right.
It's hard to guess.
So yeah, it's something you got to look into. But what? So other than apple trees, what else? Like, it's obviously for everybody, it's going to be different. You got to look at your region, what grows best for where you live. But here in Iowa, our pear tree is doing very well.
Pears grow decent here. Also, a good resource for anybody: go to your county extension. They have tons and tons of information for your area. Because I'm telling you, it grows really good here. If you're in Texas, Florida, California, it might not grow at all there.
Yeah.
But you guys can grow stuff we can't.
Yeah.
Minnesota, they got to watch what they plant because you got to have hardiness to make it through the winter.
Yeah.
Canada, it gets worse that way. I know some of them in England grow really good there, but you bring them here, they don't do nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's all varieties, vegetables, everything. Just because it grows good in one spot does not mean it grows good elsewhere. Ask around. There's surely somebody around. I know there's a lot of garden groups and all that stuff that you can get into. I'm sure somebody will help you with what grows well in your area.
Yeah, so you got to do your research.
Tons of research
for wherever you live. That's just it's a given. It's a necessity. So and then one of the I think last topic I have is something we were talking about earlier with strawberries. We're wanting to move our strawberry bed, doing vertical gardening with like gutters for the strawberries.
Well, when I think of vertical gardening, I'm thinking like cucumbers, pole beans.
Oh, putting up trellises and
grow them up. Vertical gardening takes up way less room.
Yeah.
We trellis all of our cucumbers. Instead of them sprawled out on the ground for 20 feet, they go straight up.
Gives you more room to plant more stuff that way.
You can pile more stuff in less room.
Yeah.
Pole beans, you got to go up. Otherwise, they lay on the ground and they don't do very good. I mean,
my wife hates pole beans. We planted them one year, and she said they were too stringy. She didn't like them. But
pick them sooner.
That's kind of what sometimes that makes a big difference. And it was the first year we had ever tried them. So, and that's kind of going back to, you need to figure it out now.
My suggestion is always grow something twice minimum. First year might be just a year thing. It might have been just a bad year, you had a bad crop. Try it at least twice, or more is better. Then you can see what your average is. Okay, this vegetable or fruit tree did horrible this year, but was awesome this year, awesome this year, awesome this year. By the time you sit there and think about it, so you had 1 bad and 4 and it was your first year. Awesome vegetable. You don't know what it's going to be. Try it more than once. Just because you had a failure once doesn't mean it's going to. If it fails twice, I would definitely probably think something else. I might try a little bit the third season, but we try multiple varieties every year. We have our favorites, but they're always coming up with something new. You got to try it.
Oh yeah, we have.
Maybe it's better than what you were, but if you never change, you don't know if it's better because you've never tried.
I'll bet we've tried at least 8 different varieties of like potatoes, and yeah, and it could be, we had a great year one year with Yukons, and then the next year the Reds did better, and it just
a lot of that could be weather.
The season's going to be different, and different varieties do better in different conditions. So like,
don't put all of your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, like maybe you do something that's more drought resistant, and you also do something that's more flood resistant or if your ground gets oversaturated, if it rains too much, it wouldn't be flood resistant because anything dies in a flood for pretty much.
Everything gets really rough with too much water.
But
it's better to have it too dry than too wet.
Yeah.
You just can't get rid of the water if it's too wet.
Yeah.
We've had years that everything was horrible.
Yeah.
You get by because we plant so much of it. We get by. Plant more than you want. Give it away to your neighbors.
Definitely, that's one thing we found is
always
plant way more than what you need.
And if it's something in a horrible situation comes up that you have no food, you can always barter. If you find something that's good, do it.
So yeah, definitely you have to. You definitely want to grow more than what you need.
Practice, grow lots of it. You can always give it away to your neighbors. Can it for later.
Yeah, we can a lot of stuff, and we still have stuff from 2016 in our storage that we just didn't finish. We had an abundance, so we canned a bunch of it, and we're still going on it. We planted it again the following years and ate the fresh stuff and just didn't can anymore, so that we'd use up what we had canned. So you can always do something with it.
And you have to remember, nothing grows in snow.
Yeah.
You gotta eat all winter.
Right. So you
gotta go through more storage than you think you are.
Yeah, and
if you're saving seeds, you gotta remember you need seeds to start for next year. You gotta grow some more and let it go get full term and dry down for your seeds. If you need seeds, you got to grow extra because you're not eating it, but you got to have it.
Yeah, and which, one of the things that we as preppers are always talking about on our channel is storing food, and even if you store seed, you still need to store food because the fastest growing thing, basically a radish.
28 days takes for a radish, pretty much. Yeah. And if the weather's cold when you put them in March, you might be close to 45 days.
So
that's a month.
Even if you do have seeds stored up, you're not going to get food anytime soon. It's going to be several weeks.
A lot of the fall squash that people grow, that's a 120-day crop.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff takes
3 or 4 months.
Yeah. A lot of stuff that we grow in our garden is 3 or 4 months. So
yeah,
you can't
60 to 70 days is usually where you start getting stuff. Yes, you can start some of the stuff inside and plant transplants and get it ripe sooner. But you got to know what? Like, this is February right now. We ain't doing nothing until March, April.
At least, yeah.
You can be awful hungry by then. Your seeds might taste awful good before you get to them, but then you don't have nothing to grow when it gets nice out.
Yeah.
Not saying something's going to happen, but if something happened tomorrow, what are you doing for food?
Yeah.
You aren't growing nothing.
Nope.
You can grow some. My limitation with the growing stuff in an apartment or house, the space you'll need to grow enough to sustain a family.
You just don't. There isn't enough room.
I don't think there's enough room. You can supplement.
Right.
But supplementing some fresh spinach, which is healthy for you, while you're eating some of your mountain houses.
Yeah.
You're getting you some of your nutrients and vitamins that you wouldn't from normal stuff.
Right. And, a lot of like dehydrated, freeze-dried food, it just doesn't have the nutrition. So supplementing with
some fresh stuff
nothing. That you grow yourself is better than just eating all freeze-dried food. So it's a good idea even if you do have years worth of food storage.
Plus you get tired of eating the same thing all the time. Sometimes it's nice to eat something different that you haven't had for a while.
Yeah. And yeah, the other concern is you got to have some light.
Light.
Natural light is obviously best, so if You know, if you're in an apartment and you're not on the north side of the building, try to find an apartment on the south side of the building so that you can get some south light.
My vote is don't live in town.
Yeah, that's.
I know it's not everybody, and I know
we're both country people, so.
I live on a farm.
Yeah,
there is nobody close.
No, so, and that's what I'd like to be doing too.
And I live on a big hill, so I don't have to worry about flooding. So.
Anyhow, I thought this video was a lot of fun. Let me know what you guys think. Definitely hit that thumbs up button if you like it, and I'll try to come up with some more topics and other people to talk to, and we'll kind of go from there. Once again, Steve Brahms, aka Willie, go check out his channel, and you'll be seeing some gardening videos, and he's already got a bunch of videos up there, so go check it out.
Tomatoes like this.
Yeah. He does an update, every couple of weeks on those, so.
Try to. I kind of don't have a whole lot to do right now because, you know, the weather's been horrible, so it's kind of been more than I really wanted them to, but I don't want to do too many of them because I don't want to bore people too bad because they look about the same except taller.
Yeah.
But we've got them started inside. There's, I don't know, somewhere about 800 plants started right now. We started 800-ish seeds, but with that, I don't know how many. You never get 100% germ, so always start more than you want. That's another tip.
Yeah.
But we have lots of stuff.
And then I was thinking about going over and doing a, I don't know, like a, show his, like a walkthrough of his greenhouse once he gets it planted. And maybe we'll do that on his channel. Maybe I'll go over and make a video with him in his greenhouse. You know, just kind of showing you guys what it is, but you'll have to go over and subscribe to his channel if you want to see that. So, anyhow, I thought this was fun. I thought it was something different, kind of neat. So, like I said, let me know what you guys think.
I'll try to keep track of the comments, too. If anybody has a comment or question for me, I'll try to answer some in his comments, too. So
awesome. So, that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.